All right, we're back with another video. Going to be talking Monday Night Football tonight. We got the Jets and the 49ers, and it should probably be a defensive battle. We're going to be going over our three favorite player props of the day. Probably going to give you guys a slip on PrizePicks, but also going to be focusing on Underdog, and you'll kind of see why in a second, just because they have better value today. Sometimes that happens where PrizePicks has the best value. Sometimes, another platform is going to have the best value. I'm going to bet where the best value is. I'm not just going to stick to one thing. But I know you guys are here for PrizePicks. All the plays are going to be available on PrizePicks. And yesterday we had a great day. I don't know what these other YouTubers are talking about. I know a lot of people went down yesterday, and I understand why a lot of unders hit. Throughout the day, I'm going to be looking at the total of games, seeing who hit their unders, who hit their overs, and I'm pretty sure a lot, like a grand majority of quarterbacks specifically, went under their mark. So it's obviously more fun to play overs. But yeah, week one, it can be a little bit different. And I'm going to be kind of looking at quarterbacks, wide receivers, who went over, who went under, and then also looking at some running backs who we're going to be focusing on for this game. So yeah, we're having a really good year. The last week, we're up 29.4 units. I'm going to show that screenshot in a second. So it's a great time to jump on board with us. We do have a community. All the info on that is down in the description down below. And you get access to all my slips, but also just an awesome community where you can talk to people that are like-minded really just all throughout the day. There's at least going to be someone on there to chat with, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, going to try to keep this momentum going, and let's talk some player props for tonight's game. Okay, so jumping into the desktop screen, I did want to show you guys the screenshot of the Pickett account. That one losing day, and it was a 0.67 unit day. So we're on a tear. You don't win every day like this very often. So 29.4 units, that's awesome. If you're a $100 unit better, you're up like $3,000. If you're a 20 unit better, you're up $700 or however that math works. So again, really, really hot start to the year, and this could go even higher with tonight's game. We have a 4 for 5 over on Betr, a 19x just because I used Better Bucks. I need to get rid of my Better Bucks, but typically a 20x here, and we just need Greg Zerlin to go over his 5.5 kicking points. No one else has this at 5.5. It's great value. I think PrizePicks might have him at 6.0. But again, we could definitely see a field goal or two from Mr. Greg, and maybe an extra point shifts in there as well. So yeah, really hoping this one cashes for us to get the 19x. You can see the video picks from yesterday. I forgot to go over these at the beginning one, but just have all these screenshots ready to go. Obviously, Caleb Williams was a free square. They're doing that again, so definitely take advantage of that. But then Fairbairn, I think he had 3 field goals. He hit this very early. Waddle gets injured early, but comes back out, goes for over 100 yards. Tua killed me with this pass completion. I was kicking myself because I tried to get a little bit fancy with it, and Tua ended up going over his yardage because they were playing from behind most of the game. But yeah, no one really looked good in the quarterback spot, and a lot of completions percentages were very low. So Tua goes for, I think, 38 attempts there. And we talked about if he gets into that higher zone, his hit rate does get a little bit lower. I thought they'd be controlling this game. And then Michael Pittman, this one kind of sucked because he had 4 receptions, 8 targets, and Anthony Richardson only threw 9 completions on 19 passes. Two touchdown passes. I think he had 1 on the ground as well. So he had a great game, Richardson did, but yeah, only 9 completions. It's going to be tough to get a guy over 5.5 receptions. And Pittman did get a lot of those targets. Half of the targets were to him. So good read, just not a whole lot of completions for the quarterback to get Pittman over there. So 2 and 2, kind of a wash of a day. But again, in general, with the other picks that we played in the Discord, we had a really solid day. So I'm going to try to give you guys some winners for this one. But again, try to get in the cord for more slips and more potential for wins. Here's some dubs from over the weekend. So yeah, a lot of fun, and it's not just football going on. We got other sports as well. Okay, so now let's finally get into some plays. I know, long intros. I'm sorry about that, but it's good to go over what happened during the weekend. A little recap. It doesn't hurt. You guys can always skip ahead if you don't want to see that. But yeah, we got Christian McCaffrey. Gonna not overthink this one. Best player on the field for either team here, and 74.5 rushing yards is the play I'm going to take if you're on PrizePicks only. But if you're not on Underdog, check out Underdog because they got it at 71.5, and you're going to see that for all 3 picks I give out. It's going to be better value on Underdog. That doesn't always happen. I'm not bashing PrizePicks, but specifically for today, I'm going to take the value over on Underdog. So 71.5 rushing yards for McCaffrey here. This should be a close game. We talked about it being a defensive battle. We also talked about how quarterbacks have struggled to begin the year. Obviously, that happens in week 1, but a lot of quarterbacks struggled. yesterday. So maybe just give it to your running back, give it to the best player, and kind of ground and pound a defensive scheme that did well against the passing yards last year, but didn't do as hot against rushing yards allowed. You see right here for the Jets, 25th ranked in rushing yards, 2 running backs in overall as well. So give the ball to McCaffrey, kind of get out of the way here. 74% of games last year he did go over this. They're 3.5-point favorites. Again, I do think they are going to be controlling this game. So if they find themselves up, again, you're not going to be throwing the ball, risking interceptions. You're going to be giving it to McCaffrey and keep going down the court. I'm basketball mind, my bad. Down the field as much as you can, 5 yards here, 5 yards there. Maybe he breaks through for some big yardage down the stretch of the game. Another thing here is they are home. They probably win more home games because they're 7 of 9. Again, when you control the pace, you're going to be giving it to your running back. And then as well as 3.5-point favorites, if they're up, they're not going to be throwing. If the games they've won by 4 points or more last year, 83% hit rate. So a lot of things going in McCaffrey's way this one. So again, not overthinking this and just sticking to McCaffrey over rushing yards, 71.5. I think he clears that. I could see him going for 100, as you see a lot of the games last year. He soared over this line. So like McCaffrey on this one to start the year. And then I thought I should point this out as well. RotoWire is my favorite projection model. They got a really cool tool over there as well. Again, link in the description. But they're loving this rushing yards line, 71.5. Everyone else has them at 74, 76 over at Sleeper, and they're projecting 78. So again, great data points, all pointing in the positive direction here for that McCaffrey line. All right, and then the other side of the field here, sticking to the running back position, I'm taking Breece Hall's under. You got to start thinking about this in terms of a game script. If you think McCaffrey and the 49ers are going to be leading and you think he's going to be getting the ball a ton down the stretch of the game, McCaffrey can do this whether they're leading or not. But thinking game script wise, they're going to be giving the ball to Aaron Rodgers, maybe looking for Garrett Wilson or some other targets down the field. Doesn't mean Breece Hall doesn't get a few receptions. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he goes for 4 receptions or whatever. And he's a beast, so it's hard for me to take the under. But it just does make sense in terms of market value, in terms of how I think this game's going to go. And the defensive pressure of the 49ers, especially 2 running backs, is top-notch. They do not allow a lot of running backs into the end zone. And just going to be hard day for Breece Hall. It's a tough matchup for him, even though, again, he is a beast, and I think he's going to have a great year. So taking the under fantasy points or fantasy score 16.0 on PrizePicks, that is what it is. And it's the same over on Underdog, but Underdog is a half PPR scoring system, whereas PrizePicks is a full PPR system. If you don't know what that means, I'll show you real quick. For reception, you get 0.5 points, whereas on PrizePicks for reception, you get 1 point. So receiving yards or rushing yards. Let's say Breece Hall gets a 10-yard reception from Aaron Rodgers. So he goes for 10 yards and he gets a reception. On Underdog, that would only be 1.5 fantasy points, whereas on PrizePicks, that would be 2 fantasy points. So again, we're getting a better value over on Underdog for this play. And I do want to point out that McCaffrey was at 71.5. He bumped to 72.5, which is still better than what PrizePicks has him at 74.5. So Breece Hall, really liking this under fantasy points. Again, just makes sense in terms of a game stack. I talked about market value as well. Forgot to show it. You see 16.0 over on Underdog. Everywhere else has this around 14, 13.5 even on BetMGM. So 16 is very much too high according to the market value. And then going over to his outlier page, you can see his hit rate at the beginning of last year. That's kind of a key indicator for me. Beginning of last year, it took him a little bit to get going. Obviously, end of the year, very, very good. Soared over this number on a few occasions, but tough matchup to begin the year. And he started off, pretty poorly last year. Just tough for him to start going. I do like to see that. Start thinking about game script. Again, we want to correlate these plays as much as we can. If they are losing this game, games that they lost by 4 or more points, or I guess 3 or more points, you see the spread right there. He went under in 80% of those games last year, 8 of 10 games. So that's the game script I have in my head. Breece Hall, I'm sorry, you're a beast, but I'm taking the under, fading you a little bit. Again, there's a better value over on Underdog, and those are our first 2 plays. Let's finish up with our last one here. And that last play is going to be Mike Williams over 27.5 receiving yards. If you don't know, he's coming off an ACL tear. But I do like what I saw from him last year. He cruised over this line in his 3 games with the Chargers last year. Obviously, different team, different scheme, and everything like that. But Garrett Wilson can't get every reception. I know Aaron Rodgers likes to pick kind of his favorite receivers, but Mike Williams should slot in as the wide receiver 2 pretty easily here. Target-wise, it's probably going to be Garrett Wilson getting a ton of targets, probably Breece Hall after that, but then Mike Williams sneaks in there, and again, he can get this in a couple catches, doesn't need anything too crazy. And again, thinking about the game script, if they are playing from behind, Rodgers has to maybe do a 2-minute drill, or maybe at the end of the half, maybe at the end of the game, whatever it might be, and Mike Williams hopefully is a big beneficiary from that. And let's take a look at what he did in those 3 games last year before he got hurt. About 45 yards, 83 yards, and 121 yards. So absolutely crushed that in terms of what he did, again, last year. Not a whole lot of history in the past few seasons, but ton of receptions, ton of targets for him. And again, he'll slot in easily as the wide receiver number 2 for Aaron Rodgers here. If you're thinking about this one on Underdog or on PrizePicks, it's actually both at 27.5. So you could take that either place. But again, I like the 3-man over on PrizePicks because it's a 6x versus a 5x on PrizePicks. So if you didn't know that, Underdog does 3-mans and they do 6x. So all my 3-mans, any 3-man that I ever play is typically over on Underdog because 6x is much better than 5x. So Mike Williams and Aaron Rodgers, maybe they have an injury connection. Both guys that missed the majority of last year, coming off some pretty brutal injuries. Maybe they say, hey, let's get each other going and let's have a good year. So Mike Williams, 27.5 receiving yards. Last thing I wanted to point out was over for his RotoWire projection. They love it. 34.4 yards is the projection. And, obviously the hit rate last year was great as well. So hopefully he gets going quickly and, hopefully him and Rodgers have a pretty solid connection there. So those are the 3 picks. McCaffrey over 74.5 rushing yards, Breece Hall under fantasy score, and then Mike Williams over 27.5. But again, if you want to take advantage of value, go do it on Underdog. If you're not on Underdog, use code RichPicks or use the link in the description down below. It's a win-win. You get a free square when you sign up. You get the deposit match using my code, and you're also getting a free month of my Discord community. So DM me on Discord. You can join for free before you have to pay anything, and just hit me up, say, hey, use your code, and I'll get you right in for that free month. And again, win-win-win, and it's another platform that I use pretty much daily. So really, really liking this play. It's hard to predict one game specifically, but we got a pretty good game script in our head, and let's hope the McCaffrey and the 49ers go up quick in this game and kind of control the ball, and these guys have to kind of play from behind. So that's going to do it for this video. Again, I really appreciate it if you guys like the video. Subscribe if you are new. We're going to be doing this all season. Again, when football's not happening, we'll be attacking baseball, esports, WNBA, sometimes multi-sport slips are the best way to go. You don't have to stick to one thing. You can kind of branch out and just get the most value. The last 6-mans we put out, we hit one of them because one guy DNP, we ended up going technically 5 for 5, and then the other 2 missed by 1. So we have been killing it with those multi-sport slips. So we'll have a lot of fun throughout the week, even with no football going on. But yeah, leave the video a like, subscribe if you are new, comment something down below. It's going to tell YouTube push this guy's video out because we like to watch it. Also, Zerline, we want to get his kicking points over 5.5. That's kind of like an honorary pick for us to cash the 19x, technically a 20x. Just the better bucks is why it's dragging it down. But yeah, super excited for the game tonight. Just kind of always excited to watch something when you got some wagers on it. Don't go too crazy, guys. It's one game. It's hard to predict one game. But we're going to do our best. Go 49ers, come out and lead this game. And Mike Williams get a 30-yard reception for us. Peace out. See you tomorrow.